Let's be real here. So Voodoo acquires BeReal, and it was posted that was 500 million acquisition of BeReal. Now, what is BeReal? It is a French photo sharing app where you have fleeting photos that you post once per day. So that was their unique selling proposition. Like, hey, Jen, hop on in, post your photo right now, and you can see everybody else's photo. So it was like a cool gimmick. It was launched in 2021 and it started scaling in the late 2021. So COVID lockdown peaks. And it actually peaked in 2022 with 14 million downloads a month. And that was in September. This is data from Sensor Tower. And it has been a real shark fin, as shark fin as you have seen. So 14 million months, then it goes to 5 million, so 14 million downloads in a month, then goes to 5 million just a couple of months later downloads. And then today it was making like 1.4 million downloads a month, so a tenth of what it did in 2022. And of course, as they have been declining from this shark fin, the app was apparently pivoting more to why don't you post more photos than just once? That makes sense. And then they were like, hey, what else would be cool? Influencers and celebrities, of course. And, like everything to stay relevant, essentially. But nothing to sneeze at. These boys started, I don't know if they're boys. I just want to call them boys because this is like
Yes.
folks. I mean, there's two male founders, Pierre and I don't know, I'm just coming up with French names. There are two French founders. And they started this company. And listen, in a really short amount of time, they got 120 million downloads. So even though it looks like a shark fin, this is nothing to sneeze at. The boys did good. And now Voodoo has acquired this company at a $500 million valuation, not for $500 million, for the valuation of a $500 million. And in that news, in that press release, it was said that the CEO of Voodoo-owned social app, Wiz, so Voodoo has a portfolio of social apps, will take over as the CEO of BeReal. So if we're being real, in corporate terms, this is interpreted as Voodoo believes they will run this company better than the founders ever could. Now, let me go to analysis. Fire sale is not $500 million valuation. So John Wright posted right away, hunting for clicks. He posted, in a post-IDFA world where we don't know as much about users anymore, data is even more important. A social media platform has oodles of behavioral and user-based data, which is more valuable than ever. I don't know English accent. I can't do it, but this wasn't in English accent. So he's saying this is a great deal because there's no other social networks you can get for under a certain amount of billions. And he points out that this is especially good because it caters to Gen Z, the young folks. And he, reminds people that Voodoo has branched out of games into apps, which they have successfully. And now they can cross-promote and track users going through all their apps and services. Now, Mr. Phil was countering this point actively on LinkedIn.
No
so I got this on WhatsApp from John. I didn't even follow LinkedIn. I get these like photo scares. Like, look, what's up with Phil? Anyway, so Phil comes in and he does a quick napkin calculation somewhere, wherever he's traveling with his future wife. $12.5 LTV per user, and he's scratching his head. It doesn't make any sense. But the way Phil is calculating is that this has been acquired for $500 million cash, where we actually don't know the deal structure, meaning that Voodoo could have paid $1 and the 500 million is in earnouts, like whatever it is. We just don't know the structure of this deal, so we actually don't know how much they're paid and what are the different terms of how much these owners and how much they will pay in the end. And the second thing is, like with these type of acquisition, I don't think it's 1 + 1 is 2, because there can be different exponential valuations. For example, mobile developers trade sometimes at between, especially nowadays, between 1 to 2x revenue, while social platforms have a much higher valuation trade at 4 or 5 times the revenue. So that could be that type of a play. And overall, like thinking about this, there's two ways of thinking about this. Kress, you can explode soon. There's two ways of thinking about it. One is thinking about it from the perspective of a valuation. So this is the type of an asset that will increase the valuation because it will add a social network as a part of Voodoo's portfolio. And the other part is thinking about it from the sort of a walled garden approach from a marketing perspective, because now they get this large user base that they can start mapping and targeting them properly and potentially even building an app store down the line. But I think this is an interesting acquisition. I don't know what to say. There's two different angles, and I think the path for Voodoo seems to be IPO because their last raise was 200 million, I think, from Goldman Sachs in 2018. So they're kind of closing that line of an investment usually between 5 to 7 years where investors are looking for some kind of a liquidation. And for a company of a size of a Voodoo and the way they've branched out, it's unlikely that they could be a target for an acquisition. So for them, it's more of an IPO. And in this sense, it makes sense to me that they are becoming this massive mobile product portfolio company with apps and games and social networks, etc. So that's my take, that it makes sense from the valuation perspective. Now, Kress, please do explode.
Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin on this. This is like PR 101. Okay. First of all, the last round that these guys did at a $60 million round was at a $700 million valuation. Okay. So the only reason that they throw out this $500 million number, which is complete fucking bullshit, right, is that they want to save face from the investor base of BeReal, right? And so the reality of this was likely a small cash portion, maybe a third of the transaction, and the rest is earnouts. So it was well below the last valuation round for this company, right? It's a fire sale, fundamentally, right? On the positive side, I did look it up. They do have like 50 million MAUs, right? That's a lot of fucking... I actually was surprised. I thought this thing just came and went. But according to Sensor Tower, they have 50 million days. And this is not like, Squad Busters where it's all in fucking the Philippines and Brazil, right? These are actually US and European users. So that's impressive. But this is a fire sale. Like, this is like, yeah, all hands on. Like, the fact that they only got this much is insane, right? And that's also why they took over. But I don't even necessarily believe in the underlying thesis that these users are going to be some like content fortress thing where you're going to be able to cross-sell amongst these users the games from Voodoo. I don't know. I don't think that's been really proven out at all, frankly. And it doesn't create any type of advantage in this ecosystem that I can think of. And maybe clearly the Voodoo guys are probably smarter than me, but like, this deal seems like desperation. It seems like it's two French companies too, which actually makes me very nervous, right? So like, the French helping the French, right? Let's say maybe they're buddies, with these guys. I don't know, but this seems like they're saving the company. Yeah, I think the press release is not really indicating at all the situation in which BeReal was in. They were likely completely running out of money, and they didn't have the ability to service their customers or service their platform, and so Voodoo's kind of saving them from bankruptcy, right? And maybe getting the investors somewhat whole. Yeah.
I'm just glad that Voodoo spends money on 3 camera shoots when Mishka comes to their office so that we have amazing Deconstructor of Fun videos. Actually, I got a lot of compliments on that. They're like, ooh, your Deconstructor of Fun interviews look fantastic. I'm like, that was Voodoo. That wasn't us.
Talking about Voodoo, like visiting them and having the conversation, just seeing the office and talking to different people, I'm very impressed how business focused they are. Like, I think I mentioned this in the podcast. I didn't listen to my own podcast, but I don't know if I mentioned this, but what was very interesting, like as a small tidbit, is like they don't have any sort of like logos anywhere except in the lobby downstairs where you see like Voodoo logo, a small logo, but there's nothing in the office. There's no t-shirts. Like, they don't seem like a typical gaming company, and they say like, no, we're a tech company, we're a product company. So they are very, very smart in how they approach the business. And it's hard for me to kind of agree that this is just two French companies helping each other out. Like, they wouldn't do that type of a thing. They're just too smart for this. And they have a pretty broad app business that is growing. So there might be something there that we're not seeing because we're only focused on the game portfolio.
I challenge the Voodoo folks to come on and tell me exactly how this is going to work and what the real deal was, not like this 500 million bullshit that they threw out on a press release.